Right, hello and welcome to another Fun Facts Friday. I am here, I have my notebook because today is a little bit more complicated. So, Fun Fact Friday, frozen frogs. It's going to be interesting. So, frogs, obviously amphibians, they live in wet environments. They spend their breeding period in ponds, rivers and lakes. But what do they do over winter? Because obviously water freezes over winter, and these animals are ectothermic, which means they do not produce their own body heat. They have to be heated up externally. So people would tend to refer to frogs as hibernating. It's not hibernation. Hibernation is a slightly misleading term. Hibernation means a long sleep. What they actually go into is a extended state of reduced metabolic activity called hibernation. So there is a study, there are many studies about this, particularly from North America, but I have a study by Voigt-Turen et al. From 2005, who studied the freezing capabilities of 3 European frogs. So we have the marsh frog, the pool frog, and the edible frog. And they have different methods of surviving the winter. So there are basically 2 methods of surviving the winter. You can either get out of the water and find some leaf litter, a small hole in the ground, or a tree or something to hide underneath. Basically anywhere where there is a consistent air temperature or a reduced variation in air temperature. So burrows and stuff. This is quite common in frogs. The other method though is to stay in the water. So going down to the bottom of the pond, the lake, the river, and getting in amongst the substrate, kind of burying yourself in the muck at the bottom. The problem with this is though, in ponds, particularly eutrophic ponds, which is quite common now, you have a major risk of running out of oxygen, hypoxia. So that is quite a significant problem. But there is an advantage, obviously, if you're already in the water when everyone else is thawing and moving from their hiding spots to the water for the breeding season. You're already there. So there's a bit of an argument as to which method works. Now, how do they survive the winter? How do they freeze? How do they survive being frozen? So the study of this looked at them on a sort of cellular level as well as the whole being, and what they found is all 3 of these frogs can survive more than 50% of their body mass being frozen. Now obviously that's a percentage, so that the amount of ice in that depends on the size of the animal. The way they do this is they very carefully control what part of them freezes. So within the body you obviously have the major organs, but between the organs you have spaces, you have gaps, and also you have cells, and there are gaps between cells. So what they do, and their magic trick which they do, as well as glycerol is stored within the body, and then in the liver this is converted to glucose, a sugar, and this is then pumped around the major organs. Now all the major organs are quite wet. Obviously it's an amphibious species, so the organs are wet, and they've now effectively injected a sugar-based antifreeze into the major organs, and also covered the cells in the same product. What this does is it stops the cells from rupturing, because obviously as things freeze they expand, so they're basically going to try and not let them freeze so they don't blow up inside the frog. So that the major organs are pumped basically with this sugar antifreeze, glucose, and then the area between the major organs and between the cells, that's the part that freezes. But anyway, that is the short 5-minute version of how frogs survive being frozen and how frogs survive the winter. Thank you.